Hello you wonderful people, and welcome to a special spooktacular version of Unravelled. Before we begin, I'd like to tell you a story about someone I once knew as a child. We had lost touch, but we met again on one fateful October night in a peculiar little town. By chance I was passing through for a second time after returning from the west, having been gifted a curious accessory, a pair of antique driving goggles. The eyepiece's glass had a strange hue. I loved them, but no matter how long I wore them, they always felt cold to the touch. This particular night, the lavender flowers glistened and swayed eerily in the rain-dappled moonlight, beside a tower which the mere sight of made my hair stand on end. There was always a chill in the twilight mist that constantly surrounded it, shrouding rows and rows of cracked and blackened tombstones that stood livid against the dark, oppressive presence of the tower. I was so intent upon leaving the tower and the rain behind that I walked straight into my childhood friend. They were hurried and panicked, their clothes ruffled and dirty. They looked wildly into my eyes, and for a fleeting second I feared for my safety. But they stumbled to their feet, sobbing slightly in great relief as they begged me to come with them. Someone was trapped inside the tower. Reluctantly, I agreed. We approached the creaking gates, blowing loosely in the wind, and stepped into the dense and whispering night of the cemetery. Every footstep sounded loud and alien in the dreary quiet, and my sense of unease grew stronger as we ascended the granite steps to a door that still haunts my sleep, a plain wooden door with brass handles, but what lay beyond? I opened it easily to my touch, and the blackness brooded within. I took a steadying breath, and we stepped through and closed in the night. Suddenly, purple flames banished the shadows from the crooked torch brackets, but they didn't flee far. The fear ignited by what the light unveiled was far greater than imaginings in the dark. Graves. Thousands and thousands of small, infant-sized graves, rising higher and higher into the walls of the tower. A central spiral stair split the tower like a spine, with sloping platform ribs puncturing it, stopping feet from the tower walls to reach the higher, larger graves. The air was chill in my lungs and felt oppressive in my chest, clenching at my racing heart lest it escape in its fear. I was not welcome here. The tower seemed to fold in on itself sluggishly, like some digesting carnivorous plant. Complete silence now, our footfalls muffled by grave mould on the stone, as we walk towards the central pillar to the stairs. A quiet sob greets my alert ears from an unknown direction. I stop and turn cautiously to face the person I once knew, but only faceless darkness lies there now. I never saw them again. Tricked into entering this god-forsaken place, the panic rises in my chest like bile, and I hurry back towards the night-shrouded door. The purple light sputters once, twice, then went out. I lost all sense of direction, froze stock still and listened. The sobbing was coming closer, quietly, softly, but definitely closer. It was behind me, spinning around. That's when I saw it. Large, reflective, predatory eyes, piercing through the dark. It was a Gastly. And that's what we're making today. Gastly is pretty simple because it's basically just a big thick sphere with two semicircle eyes. I started out by making a void circle, which was essentially a magic circle, and then I double crocheted 6 into the magic circle and then increased 6 times every round until I had a lovely circle. After that, I then double crocheted evenly for the same amount of rows as I increased, and then I started to decrease again for the same amount of rows, again decreasing 6 times on each round. You'll notice that I've not got my usual black background because of the colour of the yarn that I'm using. This is actually a huge tablecloth that I got from my table. I did not make it. It also didn't take me long to get annoyed with all the Halloween decorations that were cluttering up my space at this point. Now the camera's having trouble picking up the detail in this, but we do have a lovely sphere. And now Gastly needs some polyester knowledge to fill that big brain head of his. The sphere of Gastly did turn out bigger than I expected. I think it turned out at 78 stitches at its widest. Working with such a dark yarn and my eyes not being very good, it was actually kind of difficult to get all the stitches done and not skip any, but I got there in the end. Now, bear with me for a second because I'm drawing around Gastly to get an idea of how big he is so I can create a gas cloud for him that is slightly bigger, then got distracted by drawing. The plan is to get some purple yarn, smother it in PVA glue and hope it sets into a circular-ish shape that I can use in the background of the final pictures. At the time of this recording at 1:25 AM, 4 days later, it is still not dry. Next is Gastly's fabulously foreboding eyes. These are actually crocheted flats, but I actually used a magic circle, double crocheted 3 times into a magic circle to sort of start off the semicircle. And usually when I'm doing a magic ring, I'll add an extra stitch in there just to like fill the hole and make sure there's no gap when you close the magic circle. But if you do that, you actually end up with more of a pizza slice than a half moon. I then sewed these eyes onto his lovely billiard bald head about 1/3 of the way around so that the tip's still stuck up like it does in the pictures. And then sewed some lovely pupils so that you could actually see where he was going. Now, because I like to make my life difficult for myself, I decided it would be a good idea to embroider Gastly's mouth and teeth. He's already looking kind of gummy and stuff, like he's been whacked several times with an ugly stick. I quickly decided that I absolutely hated it, but decided to persevere to see what it would actually look like if I'd finished it instead of giving up. I hated it, cut it up and made it cursed. So I crocheted his mouth flat in the end instead, which is just 2 rows of flat crochet with some teeth that gradually decreased as I went. Are you ready for the spookily spine-tingling reveal? You know, if you stick around to the end, there's a kitty cat. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see and see what you like, then please consider subscribing and hitting that like button and leaving a comment and all that other good jazz. And I'll see you again for more Unravelled Chaos.